A very good evening to you all. Thank you for watching UBC Television with me, Wadulo Arnold, this third day of February 2023. My name is Wadulo Arnold and Mugalo Muhammad is on sign language. Without further ado, let's take a look at the top stories. In our headlines tonight, Alupo to meet Pope Francis in Southern Sudan. Richard Yarugaba speaks out on NSSF saga. And UBC and National Planning Authority discuss development. Once again, thank you for joining us. We now give you the news in detail. To start off, the First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, Janet Kataha Museveni, has held a meeting with representatives of the faith-based foundation bodies of education institutions in Uganda. The dialogue was geared at how to collaborate further in solving emerging challenges to strengthen education and morals in the country. Let's have a look at these details.
Hosted by Mrs. Janet Museveni at State House Entebbe, was attended by a delegation of over 30 members from the faith-based foundation bodies, led by the heads of the different religious dominations in the country. This included the Archbishop of Uganda, Dr. Stephen Samuel Kazimba Mugalu, Archbishop Paul Semoge of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Kampala, the Deputy Mufti of Uganda, Sheikh Abdallah Semambo, the Archbishop of the Uganda Orthodox Church, Metropolitan Jeromos Muzei, Archbishop Pastor Dr. Moses Ndimuchika Maka of the Seventh-day Adventist Church Uganda Union, Secretary General of Uganda Muslim Education Association Haji Abubakari Kakembo, and Dr. Chigud Muhammad, who represented Dr. Alhaj Kasim Nachibengi Kakunguru. Others in the delegation were the bishops of South Ankole and Kitgum Church of Uganda Diocese of the Nebi and Tororo Catholic Archdiocese. Mrs. Museveni appreciated the partnership between government and the faith-based foundation bodies in promoting education services and moral development of the nation. In particular, she recognized their contribution in availing land for construction of education institutions of learning and availing their schools to be grant-aided by government, thus becoming public schools.
Thank you for praying for our children and for providing leadership to many of our schools. Please know that we appreciate the role you play because we know that education is a shared responsibility and you are very valued partners of our sector, especially in these very difficult times.
She also appreciated the faith-based bodies for shepherding God's people, especially in the unprecedented times of COVID-19 pandemic and the Ebola outbreak.
I thank you for shepherding God's people in our country, especially in these unprecedented times when we have just been through the COVID-19 the pandemic and the Ebola outbreak. We thank you for what you do to calm down our country and to give hope to our people.
Mrs. Museveni pledged further regular engagements between the Education Ministry and the faith-based foundation bodies so as to strengthen the bond between government and these bodies in the delivery of education services. On their part, the leaders of the faith-based foundation bodies applauded government for the cordial working relationship, especially in the area of education. They appreciated such forums and opportunities of engaging with government on matters of social services delivery.
We also applaud the government of the Republic of Uganda for a cordial working relationship with the faith-based institutions, especially in the area of education.
The meeting also discussed issues regarding land ownership of the education institutions, deployment and transfer of staff in government-aided institutions, and the social norms and values of school communities. Others at the meeting included the Minister of State for Higher Education, Honorable Dr. Jesse Muyingo, the State Minister for Sports, Honorable Peter Ogwang, and senior technical officers from the Ministry of Education and Sports, led by the Permanent Secretary, Katie Lamaro. Reporting for UBC, Baguma William.
And furthermore, the Deputy Managing Director, Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, Maurice Mugisha, has said that the national broadcaster is ready to continue giving rich content and quality information to the public. This was during a meeting with officials from the National Planning Authority at the NPA offices here in Kampala.
Thank you very much.
Uganda Broadcasting Corporation will continue ensuring that there is effective communication to the public through its various platforms. The Deputy Managing Director, Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, Maurice Mugisha, was speaking at a meeting with Uganda Broadcasting Corporation officials and National Planning Authority on the 3rd National Development Plan held at NPA offices in Kampala. Mugisha said UBC is committed to work with the National Planning Authority to promote national issues.
We are currently implementing the NDP3 with the new rolled out program-based budgeting. It was very vital that Uganda Broadcasting Corporation does engage the government planners looking at the strategic direction UBC is taking. We are currently concluding on our 3-year strategic plan, which will inform a lot of the development plans we have. This is really very consultative and a conversation around building a framework with the planning authority to provide them a platform for them to effectively communicate the development agenda of government. And so we are aware that, for example, currently they are having the midterm review, which Ugandans need to know about. This is really a measure of how far we've come with the NDP3. And so we are providing that platform. But we're also aware now that even with this program-based budgeting, not so many people understand this new way of government budgeting and planning. And we are offering a platform for the planning authority to communicate and sensitize Ugandans about this new budgeting agenda. So that Ugandans can be involved in the budgeting process.
The Deputy Executive Director, National Planning Authority, Charles Oleny Ojok, encouraged UBC to adapt to non-traditional methods, and through the waves of radio and TVs, people should know government national development plans.
The national broadcaster is also mandated to be the mouthpiece for government to inform the citizens. We, as in charge of planning in the country, have a responsibility, and by mandate we are required to communicate the plan, what plan we have for the country. We have, for instance, currently the NDP3. This is the National Development Plan 3. It has all the aspirations of the people of Uganda for the next 5 years, 2020 to 2025. Now, how else would it not be appropriate that we have a partnership with the national broadcaster to be able to communicate to the people of Uganda, our citizens?
The meeting agreed to sign a memorandum of understanding between UBC and NPA with an aim of working together by involving the public to participate in national development plans. Navka Farida and Salongo Kasbanti.
In another development, head teachers have also been urged to ensure the learning environment is safe and supervised following the increased concerns of indiscipline in schools, like drug abuse. While closing the selection and placement exercise for Senior 1 at Lugogo, State Minister for Higher Education, Dr. Chrysostom Oyingo, said that sex education is being abused by incorporating negative ideas that do not conform to the African traditions. We have a detailed report.
Some school heads have expressed concern over being given a small number of students in the selection list from Ministry of Education and Sports, yet they submit a big number. The head teacher, Sacred Heart Secondary School, Gulu, Sister Helen Lamono, said her school was given 240 students, which forced her to also take those with aggregate 13 from her selling list, although the cutoff point was up to 11 aggregates. While Bobyangu Secondary School in Bale District was given only 39 students, and yet it has capacity to accommodate 150 students.
Because at times those who have got maybe like aggregate 4, 5, 6 to 10, they don't go to our schools in the north. So get our category before selling it. How can you sell when you don't have even?
At the selection list, we were given 39, which is really small. I have had to buy like 90. I have to get like 90 from the nearby secondary schools.
Ginger College maintained its cut-off points for last year of up to 8 aggregates. The school was given 260 students, but given a list of 779 to sell to other schools. St. Kagwabushenyi is a boys' school, which has also maintained the cut-off points at 8 aggregates. They were given 200 students, an increase from the 180 of last year.
This year, our cut-off points has been at 8 aggregates. The selection exercise has moved on well. We're given 260 students.
The same at 8. That's why we stopped. But we are glad that the ministry thought about us and gave us more to 200. But we have the ability to even have 300.
While officiating at the closing of the exercise, State Minister for Education Dr. John Chrysostom Muyengo urged head teachers to exercise compassion to the students and parents as they continue with the placement in schools. He, however, emphasized the issue of indiscipline in schools and urged head teachers to conduct orientation programs for senior ones and also do all it takes to protect the African values in schools.
Sex education is being abused to incorporate negative ideas that do not conform with our culture as Africans. Teachers, colleagues, friends, ensure close supervision and guard against such vices.
The chairperson of the placement committee, Dr. Jane Egau, urged head teachers to handle parents who are to ask for admission at school level professionally.
That the placement exercise does not end today, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't end today and here. Many parents will come to the schools seeking for either special consideration or guidance. I call upon you to handle them with professionalism. And please, some understanding. Don't hide away from them.
The Ministry of Education and Sports has announced that Term 1 for senior ones starts 20th February 2023. I'm Nafka Farida and Stephen Kalisia in Kampala.
The Vice President of Uganda, Major Jessica Lupo, arrived in South Sudan ahead of the religious peace mission for the country. The peace mission is expected to be graced by Pope Francis and the Archbishop of Canterbury. President Salva Kiir was represented by his Minister for Presidential Affairs to receive Vice President Jessica Lupo at Juba International Airport. Present to receive her was Uganda's ambassador to South Sudan, His Excellency Brigadier General Ronnie Balia, and other officials from the embassy.
First time in Juba. Oh, I have just been in Juba before.
Okay.
It's my first time.
Now tonight we premiere a trailer of a documentary titled Those From Among You, which traces the story of Uganda's history, centering on the role of the NRM and its leader Yoweri Kaguta Museveni in the struggle for liberty and building of a nation.
Once Fanon said, each generation must, out of relative obscurity, discover its mission, fulfill it, or betray it. I know a man who, in fulfilling his life's mission, has raised the foundations of many generations.
With Kampala captured and the leader of the National Resistance Army, Yoweri Museveni, now president, their task is to move forward until they make contact with the UNLA troops.
Do you see the NRM as being naturally aligned to either the East or the West in particular?
No, we are aligned with Uganda and with Africa. This assumption of the Western countries, or of some outside countries, that we must either be for the East or for the West, is actually racist, to say the least, because we have got our own interests, and these are the ones we are pushing. And if we have got allies, those who agree with us, as far as our interests are concerned, then they are our friends.
It's super fast internet. Oh, it's a super camera. It's a super battery.
Phone battery full.
Yeah! It's a super deal. Get the Kabode Super from MTN now at a reduced initial deposit of only 49,000 shillings and pay the balance in Pola for as low as 833 shillings per day. Grab this Super Kabode deal this Christmas and get 2 GB of free MTN data every month for 8 months. Get the Kabode Super now from any MTN shop countrywide. Everywhere you go, MTN. Regulated by UCC.
At Timex Nutrition Center, we advise you on the right foods to eat, exercise profile to adopt, and lifestyle strategies which are compatible to your blood group and genotype. This empowers your body to prevent and treat many diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, arthritis, ulcers, obesity, and many others. For more information, find us at our head office in Kampala on Nassa Road, Conrad Plaza, 2nd floor, or call 0758 819 952 or 0778 288 361. We also have other branches in Bara and Jinja.
This isn't just a girl. She is the future. This is a teacher, a doctor, a community leader, our future president.
This is our family's pride.
This is my friend.
This is the future of our nation.
She is the future of Uganda, and the policies I enact today will protect her from teenage pregnancy.
She is the hope of our community, and I will talk to others about how we must protect her.
She is our family's pride, and I will protect her from child marriage and talk to her about the dangers of teenage pregnancy. We each have a role to play in empowering our teenage girls to protect them from child marriage and pregnancy, because when we empower them, we empower our nation. Protect the girl, save the nation.
Their support meant so much to me. I stayed focused and was protected from child marriage and teenage pregnancy. I will support other girls against child marriage and teenage pregnancy.
Take action. Report any case of defilement or child marriage to the police or call Sawuti 116.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial *149*10# to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial *149*10*5#. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial *149*10# to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
variety of items like gift hampers, foods, garments, cosmetics, and all sorts of drinks. Enjoy your shopping experience this festive season at affordable prices in our fully stocked branches in the following areas: in Tinda Station Road, opposite Makere Business School along Portbell Road, Duster Street opposite Nakasero Market, and Garden City on Yusuf Lule Road. At Capital Shoppers, we offer you value for your money. To all our customers and suppliers, we thank you for your continuous support. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Welcome back. You're still watching the UBC News Tonight, broadcasting live from Nile Avenue. In more news, a 14th month of joint military operation against the Allied Democratic Forces, the ADF rebels, sanity and normalcy is apparent in areas where the UPDF is operating from. The impact is visible with the success attained by the joint forces, the UPDF and FARDC.
The journey through Bundibujo Road, Tuntoloko via Rebishengo Ferry through Bulasi, Boga to Kainama is an amazing trip as one connects from Uganda to DR Congo. This is a fact-finding mission about Operation Soja in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo.
All about the pressure that is down here in Congo, the pressure specifically about the ADF being followed every now and then in all the sectors of our operations, in the areas of Kalembo, in the areas of Zunguluka, everywhere, going back to those areas of Mukakati. So the pressure is so high on them.
The presence of UPDF could be felt as Wananchi welcomes the Operation Soja commander, Major General Dick Olum, in the company of other junior and senior UPDF officers. At Kichimba and Busio town, Congolese civilians expressed gratitude to the UPDF for guarding them against ADF known as Nalo to Congolese.
Hii barabara tulijua wanatuletea yao mwanzo ya maendeleo.
Bibi anachezea pale sana.
Anasema tu wako katikati ya video na
pole kabisa.
So mimi nimekuja kuwatembelea, kuwaona hali iko namna gani, operation inaenda namna gani. Nimekuja vile kuwaona nao wakubwa ya FRDC.
In 2021, this was Bolasi, Boga, Chabi, and Kainama town. After 14 months of Operation Soja, Congolese residents have settled back in areas where UPDF Sector 2 is operating, especially in Boga, Bolasi, and Kainama. There is now a semblance of peace in the villages of Bomboli, Vido, Mokanza, Makondi, Malolo, Limbau, among others. General Dick Olum, who succeeded now Commander Land Forces Lieutenant General Kayanja Muhanga, has conducted a campaign to flush out the ADF rebels by pressing forward operation bases in key strategic areas.
Trying to see the tempo of the operations, to see what they are doing, but also to come and talk to them about the ongoing operation. For example, as you may be aware, ADF tried to infiltrate through Ntoroko to go to Weramule, those areas of Chibuku. And of course, their intention was to come and disrupt us, divert us, and make us go back, come out of Congo. Of course, as a professional military, that wouldn't have happened, and they wouldn't have interfered with our deployments.
UPDF is ensuring the protection of civilians and peace building. The presence of UPDF has boosted confidence among Congolese civilians. At Muzilandu Primary School, children welcomed UPDF and thanked them for prevailing peace.
Tunataka kama tunafukuza Nalu, nyinyi watoto mkuwe na namna ya kusoma mzuri kwa mashule. Tunataka mnasoma, mnamaliza, mnaenda kwa university.
They can now attend classes after a while. UPDF is now spearheading civil military activities and peace building initiatives. Haruna Mteisasira reporting for UBC News in Eastern DR Congo.
Has revealed That NSSF board is not united and government has since remained quiet despite several petitions which are already submitted to it. Byarugaba says that most of individual board members have petitioned the supervising ministries about incompetence of some board members, but in vain. This is according to Byarugaba, and it puts the workers' savings and operations of NSSF at high risk. Byarugaba is appearing before the Parliament Select Committee investigating the recent NSSF saga directed by the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among. Let's take a look.
The former Managing Director of National Social Security Fund, Richard Byarugaba, spent the Friday afternoon in Parliament to add his voice on the controversy surrounding the fund, which has raised the public eyebrows. Byarugaba first shared with the Parliament Select Committee the history of NSSF and how the fund has grown over time. Byarugaba notes that his 11 years tenure, the contribution to the fund has increased to almost 130%, and the workers' savings are totally safe.
We have been building houses. I know that the public, and I think on this committee, members have raised the fact that our houses are expensive. But we believe that if we give you a house where you are not required to pay the entire amount, but you pay as if you were paying rent, and then you eventually own it, we think that would be a good innovation for our members.
Byarugaba claims the Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development has an upper hand in the confusion hyped at the NSSF.
One, in less than 1 year, once we have transferred back to the Minister of Gender, corruption, influence peddling, delayed decision making, scandals are back to haunt the savers. We had left the press.
Byarugaba told the committee that Minister Betty Among wanted the 6 billion funds to be channeled to Ministry of Gender, which Byarugaba hesitated, questioning the mode of accountability.
This is a clear case of conflict. How would we as a fund, how would I, Richard Byarugaba, as the accounting officer, demand accountability from my supervisor? How would I discipline my supervisor and the ministry in case they abuse these funds?
Byarugaba alleges that the NSSF board is not united and government has remained silent despite petitions by several individual board members.
Petition from workers seeking his removal. I think you saw that this morning. Honorable Sam remorsefully designate, whatever the word is, the entire board as a bunch of barefaced liars, while he himself portrayed himself as the cadre, God-fearing, and the only single person of incontrovertible truth in a meeting before His Excellency on the 23rd.
Byarugaba has asked the MPs to consider recommending for his reappointment, as he describes the allegations as trivial and can be made concurrently as he serves in the position of Managing Director. By press time, the MPs were still weighing in the submissions of Richard Byarugaba. Daniel Mugoya, Gloria Gwitabinji, UBC News.
In our news, National Water and Sewage Corporation has announced that many of their clients in western part of Kampala City will not have water for the next nearly 2 weeks. The General Manager for Kampala, Mahmoud Lutaya, says that the fault was realized this morning and the team from National Water is doing its best to have it fixed. Let's have a look.
Kampala residents in the western part of the city will have a water supply shortage, the National Water and Sewage Corporation has announced. This follows the technical problem at their supply station in Gaba.
We have a small challenge, especially in the western part of Kampala, that is the parts of Namasuba, Zana, parts of Ndeje, Lubowa, Katale, Nalumunye, Namwaya, also parts of Mutundwe, Natete, few parts, Chengera area, Buddo and Sanji. For the last 1 week, one of our systems, the pumps, because that water, the water that supplies that area comes from Gaba. The pumps, we got an electrical challenge gets one of the cards, that electronic cards, flashed.
The general manager for Kampala, Muhammad Lutaya, says the fault was realized this Thursday morning and the team from National Water and Sewage Corporation is doing its best to fix it.
And we're trying to have them reinstalled. These are specialized equipment that you have to make on special order. We've already done that, and we have the assurance within one week or two we'll have them reinstalled and the system fully reinstalled. Right now, some of the customers are experiencing intermittent water supply.
Lutaya, however, urges clients to use water sparingly during this period because it's going to be on and off some days until the equipment is fully functional.
But even in the meantime, we are trying to rationalize the system so that at least everyone is able to receive some water as we have the system fully restored. But the rest of the system, the other parts other than those that I've mentioned, water is stable and there's no big challenge at all.
Joseph Bule, UBC.
The President of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, has tasked the Chief Justice Alfonso Wadulo to set up a robust accountability measure so as to curb the unending perceived corruption vices that dwell within the judiciary. This was communicated by the Prime Minister Robin Anabanja during the launch of the new law year 2023 at the Judiciary Headquarters in Kampala.
Supreme Court and Court of Appeal justices, judges, advocates, lawyers and other sister agencies of the judiciary have appeared in big numbers at the Judiciary Headquarters for the opening of the new law year, delivered by Chief Justice Alfonso Wadulo. Prime Minister Robin Anabanja represented President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni at the event. In a speech read for President Museveni, he commended the judiciary for the tireless service of delivering justice to Ugandans. However, cautioned them on the prolonged perception of corruption in the judiciary.
Improvements registered. I would like to commend you for fighting case backlog, operationalizing new high court circuits, advancing the use of ICT. Chief Justice, I must caution you, however, that in order to realize your transformation agenda, you must put in place strong measures for accountability and fighting corruption. You must also strive to maintain utmost vigilance on issues of integrity in the judiciary. Uganda has already established zero tolerance to corruption policy as a national value, and we are counting on you to help us deal with these thieves who are enemies of development and want Uganda to remain behind.
Museveni further tasked the judiciary to work towards reaching the Ugandans' expectations of achievable justice.
Clients do not want to hear your legal jargons and a litany of Latin maxims. They come to your courts to seek protection of their rights and property, land, coffee, cows, and other merchandise. They seek for fair and timely judgments that embed Ubuntu, our traditional and historical values.
Over 20,000 cases were disposed of by the courts of judicature in 2022, which Chief Justice Alfonso Wadulo attributed to the judiciary's budget enhancement.
In the year 2022, which is the immediate previous year, the number of cases disposed of, completed by the Ugandan courts of judicature jumped up to 250,021 cases. Right Honorable Prime Minister, there was no miracle in achieving this. The Lord did not descend down and then these cases got completed. It was what we've been advocating for all along and which we still continue to advocate for. That the solution to the completion to the reduction of cases, to ensuring that cases do not take years but take months, is in having commensurate number of judicial officers to the cases being filed by the millions of Ugandans. As simple as that.
In a bid to extend justice for all, they vowed to intervene in the matter of legislators Alan Sewanya and Muhammad Segirinya on their pending cases in the courts of law.
Let me say this to the state. You are the one who brought these accused persons to court. You made allegations against them. The law says they are innocent until you prove the matter in court. When the trial begins, and it will begin soon, there will be no dilly-dallying, there will be no games. The state has brought them. The state has got the capacity to bring all its witnesses. I will ask the trial judge, I don't know who will be the trial judge, do not entertain any nonsense in the trial of these members of parliament. They are public figures, not because they are members of parliament, but they are public figures, and they must be tried in accordance with the law. If the state is not ready to have them tried, Right Honorable Prime Minister, one of the rights the trial judge has is to dismiss the case.
The President Uganda Law Society, Bando Wundo, appealed for implementation of rule of law by condemning the unlawful arrests and torturing of victims. However, Attorney General Chiwanuka had this to say on this matter.
Rule of law undermines democracy. The illegal arrests, detentions, and torture continue to undermine the rule of law in this country and the democratic credentials of this country. People should not be arrested and whisked away in drones with guns and then tortured in the process. They should be informed of the reason for the arrest and they should be charged. It is my humble appeal that these arrests are carried out within the confines of the law and that those who perpetrate these acts are held accountable.
Not the position of government, and we encourage all of you who have cases of this nature to report them to us. President, Uganda Law Society, I would not want to sit at the next event where you tell me about illegal arrest when you haven't come to me as the head of the bar to tell me about any. This is not a matter to speak of lightly.
Rebecca Natongo, Susan Nabugude, UBC News.
UBC News Tonight. In more news, Ugandans will now have an opportunity to work in Japan without physically being there, thanks to a business process outsourcing program initiative. The Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Dr. Chris Baryomunsi, wants players in the ICT sector to take advantage of the existing cordial relationship between Uganda and Japan and tap into the existing opportunities in that country.
The Minister of ICT and National Guidance has signed a memorandum of understanding with Japan International Cooperation Agency to boost ICT and innovation sector in Uganda. Under the MOU, Ugandan graduates in ICT will have an opportunity to work with Japanese firms under a business process outsourcing program.
Through technology, it is now possible that a graduate in Uganda can be employed in a company in Japan, and he or she works from here. You do not have to physically go to Japan. That's what we call the business process outsourcing. So we appointed a BPO council here in Uganda chaired by Professor Bazeyo, and the council of experts is working with us. We have now developed a policy. We are now exploring opportunities in Japan and other areas to see how we can create jobs for our young people.
The Minister of ICT and National Guidance, Dr. Chris Baryomunsi, says that this is a great opportunity for young Ugandans to tap into employment industry of aging Japanese population.
You see, Japan and other developed countries have an aging population. They do not have young people. And yet they have industries, they have factories, but they do not have a workforce because they don't have young people.
Japan having the oldest population, Uganda having the youngest population, and therefore we need the experience that Japan has grown in advancing in technology, and we also need the youths, the energetic youths, to drive your work forward, because you don't have the young energetic people to work for you.
The chief representative of JICA, Inoue Yoichi, assured Uganda of Japan's continued cooperation in bettering the ICT and innovation sector.
To me, this is the most important feature. With that secret, the work of the ministry and ourselves to make these partnerships happen. I'm therefore happy that our upcoming project on ICT industry promotion is starting on a very good footing.
The chairman Business Process Outsourcing Program, Professor Bazeo William, says Uganda has the ability to compete at the global level if it is given the opportunity to exhaust its ICT capability.
The BPO Council has tried, one, to address the needs of the ministry and the nation, but two, to do it so right that Uganda becomes the powerhouse of Africa. Not in a name, but actual.
Sada Mubale, UBC News, Kampala.
And with that, we take a short commercial break. When we return, we'll be back with more UBC News, so please do not move an inch.
It's super fast internet. Oh, it's a super camera. It's a super battery.
Phone battery full.
Yeah, it's a super deal. Get the Kabode Super from MTN now at a reduced initial deposit of only 49,000 shillings and pay the balance in Pola for as low as 833 shillings per day. Grab this Super Kabode deal this Christmas and get 2 GB of free MTN data every month for 8 months. Get the Kabode Super now from any MTN shop countrywide. Everywhere you go, MTN. Regulated by UCC.
At Timex Nutrition Center, we advise you on the right foods to eat, exercise profile to adopt, and lifestyle strategies which are compatible to your blood group and genotype. This empowers your body to prevent and treat many diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, arthritis, ulcers, obesity, and many others. For more information, find us at our head office in Kampala on Nassa Road, Conrad Plaza, 2nd floor, or call 0758 819 952 or 0778 288 361. We also have other branches in Bara and Jinja.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial *149*10# to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial *149*10*5#. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial *149*10# to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome back to the UBC News Tonight, broadcasting live from Nile Avenue and online on YouTube, specifically under the name tag UBC Television. Now, the year 2023 is for wetland restoration countrywide. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has declared. The president is now imploring all Ugandans to unite as far as preserving the environment. This was part of the president's message during the year's International Water Day celebrations at an event held in Soroti City.
This year's World Water Day celebrations have been held in Soroti City in the eastern parts of the country.
Right now we are in a Waja swamp, and this is part of the reasons why we chose this. It is time to restore the wetlands.
Evaluation and assessment of the progress of Waja swamp restoration and preservation has been key during this year's commemorations.
But up to what level? Because this wetland is recovery. We need it to recover so that even water and other things can come in.
The National Days events were held in Gweru Sub-County Headquarter grounds in Soroti District.
I want to take this opportunity to welcome the environmental officer to tell us the advantages of wetlands.
Wetlands is the ground for grazing animals.
The government has gazetted the wetland for grazing animals only. I'm the RDC of Soroti, and I am here on behalf of the President. There is a directive from the President that someone cultivating or destroying the wetland must be punished, jailed, or given a huge fine.
Present at the event were political leaders, government officials, environmental activists, and members of the general public.
I have got these questions. We are leaving the wetlands. So what next? My humble request is, let us give our Ugandans friendly seeds that can survive outside the wetlands.
You are telling the people of Gweri to get out of the swamps, not only Gweri, but the people of Uganda. But to my surprise, guest of honor, when you are moving, even in Kampala, people are busy constructing houses. And I ask myself, what is the ministry doing?
The Water Day celebrations were held under the theme Wetlands Restoration.
The theme underscores the urgent need for wetland restoration. It highlights the significant contribution of wetlands to the livelihood and the danger of not conserving those that still exist.
The resident district commissioner Soroti district represented President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who reiterated the need to conserve and preserve wetlands at all costs.
I therefore encourage you to guide the wetlands near you jealously by reporting, recording, and policing.
The day celebrations were concluded with the launch of tree planting exercise as a commitment to the preservation of nature. Robert Nyango, UBC News.
The lower secondary curriculum, which is new, is now deemed to be a beacon of hope for upscaling vocational training in the country. The Directorate of Industrial Training at the Ministry of Education and Sports, Patrick Byakatonda, says that students will be equipped with hands-on skills for self-sustenance.
Uganda's education system is targeting to produce all-round graduates with skills that are competitive on the labor market. The Directorate of Industrial Training, Dr. Patrick Byakatonda, says students completing the lower secondary curriculum will be employable. Byakatonda wants schools to register their students for assessment come November this year.
Schools and the runners, the actual registration of DIT is this term, and we have started. Those who have not yet registered the secondary schools, please get in touch with the Directorate of Industrial Training or even our staff. They are our staff who will contact you, then we register the secondary schools, then we also register the runners.
The Directorate of Industrial Training is on a countrywide tour in secondary schools to inspect the preparedness of the curriculum. The systems administrator at the Directorate, Isaac Mwesigwa, says they have so far developed 118 assessment training packages for various occupations.
We have sensitized them on the ATPs, on how to use the ATPs for training, and we have received a home welcome. Teachers are ready to implement the curriculum, mostly in the fields of art and design, in the fields of sports, that is soccer, and in the fields of dancing, drama, instrumentalist, among others.
The head teacher, Budo Secondary School, Lawrence Muwonge, says the new curriculum has made the education sector more practical and user-friendly.
Head teachers, directors who have not yet embraced this curriculum, please better join, because it is very beautiful. The learners are the beneficiary. We are going to enjoy.
8 vocational subjects set to be assessed by the Directorate of Industrial Training are agriculture, art and design, entrepreneurship, performing arts, nutrition and food technology, physical education, and information, communication and technology.
And now, in the world of business, a delegation of 10 women entrepreneurs is leaving the country for a 2-week market familiarization tour and trade mission to Canada and New York City. The trip, an initiative by government targeting the private sector, is aimed at improving export performance of companies and small-medium enterprises. Let's have a look.
A 10-woman delegation has been flagged off by the State Minister for Trade, Harriet Mutawazi, to travel to Canada and the United States of America tonight. Their 2-week mission is to clinch deals and showcase their products, which include home decors and textiles, to the international market.
Now, this is a big opportunity for the women, because now the women in the market make almost more than 65% in micro, medium and small enterprises. And what we are looking at here, we are not targeting the large entrepreneurs, though we have also large entrepreneurs among them. There are women who have already excelled among them, and one of them has already exported goods worth 60,000 US dollars.
Promoting women entrepreneurs to access global market for home-produced goods is vital in improving Uganda's trade balance and enhancing social and economic growth.
It is going to be a continuous market of all the crafts of Uganda, all the decors of Uganda, all the textile of Uganda, made in Uganda. So the designs that we are going to make, we are going to be changing designs from one design to the other, depending on what the market wants. And the market is trade. We are going to trade free with them, duty-free, quota-free.
As the team leaves, they are reminded to return home, exploit the knowledge and information acquired to grow their businesses and be agents of change in government's money economy agenda.
So you are not going there to do cheyo. We are not sending there women to go and do cheyo. You are not going to go to the UAE to do cheyo. You are going to Canada to do marketing. So there is no woman who is going to remain there. I want to assure your husbands, to assure your families, to assure Ugandans that these women we are sending there are going to come back. There is no woman who is going to disappear.
Uganda's exports are regionalized, with more than 50% of all its exports concentrated within the East African community and about 8% to the Comesa market. Dennis Igor for UBC News.
Furthermore, the first Deputy Prime Minister, who is also the Minister for East African Affairs, Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga, is advocating for the need for integration among East African countries. Kadaga said this during an event for the flagging off of private sector ambassadors.
The Minister for East African Affairs, Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga, wants all countries under East African Community to embrace free continental trade without any barriers.
Members from Rwanda, from Tanzania, from South Sudan, and from Kenya to hasten, to at least to lobby for another opportunity to discuss the future of the Federation, because the consultations in the last 4 years have only taken place in Burundi and in Uganda.
Kadaga also emphasized the need for sensitization of SMEs to prevent unnecessary penalties.
Despite information being available that someone exporting goods worth below $2,000 does not require a permit, but you still find that woman who is carrying worth $1,000 will still go into the Panya route rather than go through the border, because she doesn't know. So she should go there because she thinks it's easier for her to cross. But the law says you're able to cross if your goods are worth a certain amount. So it's important that we assist them to improve the value of their crops.
The Chief Executive Officer, East African Business Council, John Bosco Kalisa, raised a number of issues hindering regional trade, stressing the need for free movement within the member states.
Currently, it's very expensive to travel within the region because our economies, our leaders, always they are protecting their small markets. And it cannot work like that. Airlines nowadays is part of our transport sector. We need to ensure that we have a regional airline.
The free movement of people, the use of national ID. I think there have been talks for many years, more than 10 years, we've been discussing of free movement and the use of national ID.
Within our region, for instance, the Ugandan traders, you go to Tanzania without a passport, prison. And yet, Tanzania and Uganda and Kenya are the oldest members of the community. But this is still a problem. We still have a problem of communication. When you go to Tanzania, it's very expensive to make a call. You're charged for receiving, charged for calling. So, and all these are things that we need to handle.
This was during an event of flagging off private sector ambassadors. Mary Namkose, UBC News.
And in another development, national youth leaders have also had an engagement with the management of the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Authority. The meeting was aimed at formulating strategies on how to improve youth economic empowerment through participation in public procurement. Let's have a look.
The Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Authority is devising policies and guidelines that will promote and increase youth empowerment through participation in public procurement.
We are in charge of providing policies and rules and guidelines on how you can be contracted so that you benefit from 60% of the national budget that these honorable members of parliament pass that is spent on public procurement.
The Assets Body has formulated guidelines that must be undertaken in order to involve youth in the bidding for government contracts. Sectors in which youth-led businesses are to be engaged in bidding are ICT services, entertainment, road infrastructure maintenance, events management, among others.
What is a youth-owned enterprise in our understanding? We were saying at least if you're dealing as an individual, that is understandable, we shall take age 35. If you're working in a partnership and you have some other partners that you're working with, we want to see that majority of the partners for this partnership that is coming to work with a government entity to supply them with certain things that have been reserved for youth is actually youth-led.
The need for sensitization on public procurement and entrepreneurship is emphasized.
It might be easier to work with the threshold amount, to say for the threshold of 40 million below, you're giving young people. That one might save us more than which particular contracts are you getting. Because if they say the contract is worth 180 million, but they are all within reservation areas, at 180 million, you'll find very few young people who will be able to go in.
We could follow specifically the procurement plans of these entities. And we do not, for example, when you look at ICT services, that is so generalized because a certain ministry somewhere will sit down and say procurement of repairs and all that, but they break down or put them in some kind of other naming, and then you cannot subject them to that.
Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Authority is a parastate organization mandated to harmonize procurement and disposal policy systems and practices of central government, local governments, and statutory bodies. Charlotte Amuge and Dan Lugemwa for UBC News.
And that brings us to the end of our bulletin tonight. Thank you for being a lovely audience. My name is Wadulo Arnold. Mogalo Muhammad on Sign Language. Take care and good night.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.